What's up, party people? Welcome to Honest Trailer Commentaries. Every Quentin Tarantino movie. We're talking about our thought process behind the trailer. You'll get to see some deleted scenes. At the end, we'll respond to questions from viewers like you. And at the end, we will tease next week's trailer.
Oh, boy.
I'm sitting here with Joe, Lon, Dan, me. We're back from break. We're feeling refreshed, full of vigor. And yet we turned this one in right before the break when we were all exhausted. But it's good to see it again. It came out great.
Yeah.
If I'm going to pat all of us on the back.
I think it came
as we should.
Really went Randy, our editor Randy, who worked on this over the break, and Kevin, who brought it home, should get the pats.
And the creators of the feet song.
Yeah.
Yes.
Matt Citrone, our go-to
Good
music
old Matt
guy.
Citrone.
Some debate. We can maybe get to it later that the foot song was too long and that we wouldn't have enough feet for it. We did.
Turns out it was
Turns out we could have kept going.
Spoiler alert. We did.
We did.
He had plenty of feet.
I always believed.
Yeah.
Joe was the one voice in the corner saying, there are
enough feet.
There's plenty of feet.
When you looked behind you and there was one set of footprints, there were enough feet that were carrying.
I was saying to a friend today that it was interesting. Like when it was still theoretical, we were all like, it could be, it might work. And then the first time the song played, everyone in the room was like, oh yeah, no, it was great. It's very fun.
So
all debate it.
It was a fun exercise. I don't know. We all kind of split up the movies and kind of picked three, not really at random. We did like a round robin draft. Hateful Eight went weirdly early, Lon.
I had only ever seen Hateful Eight like in the theater during the road show, and then I never rewatched it. So I've been already kind of thinking like I'd like to revisit Hateful Eight. So it was a perfect opportunity.
Yeah, but we all kind of dabbled in like different periods of his career, and
Except for poor Danielle, who was not present for the draft.
Danielle, much like this commentary, was cut from the trailer because we gave her everything. Well, she wasn't there the day we did the draft, so she didn't get to pick. And we gave her all the things he didn't do officially, I guess, or
all
like
TV,
his TV stuff, his student films.
4 Rooms.
Yeah.
She did the
his
4 Room segment,
which we cut almost entirely from the trailer.
Yeah, and we cut it
Sorry,
entirely.
Daniel.
And I'm seeing a lot of comments being like, "Did you know he also made an episode of ER?" And
We did.
Yada,
We
yada.
say that at the end of the trailer.
NCIS.
He also did an NCIS.
No,
which we don't-
CSI.
CSI. Which we
How
don't-
dare you get those confused?
Yeah.
But I feel like that's a fewer number of people did that than if we had put those things in and they were like, "What the hell is this? Why is there an episode of
CSI?
ER?"
Yeah.
It was The Mentalist. No.
Who's
I'd watch
to say
it.
it wasn't?
Another dumb show.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that, like, I don't know, I had a good time going back through the filmography.
Yeah.
It's fun.
He likes to give the audience a good time.
Well, I also thought-
is my very in-depth review of Quentin
Yeah, I mean, I
Tarantino.
also did Jackie Brown, so I got a little best of both worlds.
Oh, yeah, it was good.
Redoing Kill Bill was super fun. I didn't think that I would like those as much as I did, but man, they should have been one movie. I think they should have been one 3.5-hour-long movie, but it was so good. I love Kill Bill.
Both of them are good. He's the epitome of the "you had me, you lost me, you had me" filmmaker. Because I was so on board with his early stuff, and then I really like Kill Bill, and then Death Proof. I was like, oh no, like he's gone
What are you doing?
completely up the butt of the '70s, and we're never gonna get him back. He's just gonna make homages that only he gets for the rest of his career. And then he came out and made what I think are his 3 of his 4 best films ever in a row. I like Hateful Eight more than most, but I wouldn't put it up there necessarily with like Pulp Fiction. But 3 I think of his 4 best films ever made right in a row. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, Death Proof was my Hateful Eight, where I was like, I haven't seen this since they did the whole Fun Grindhouse release, and maybe it's not as rough as I remember, and let's give it a look-see. And that could have been a really great 15-minute short film.
Well, I think I appreciate what he's doing in that, because like he's riffing on movies that have the same problem that Death Proof has. Like he's riffing on movies that have a great opening setup, and then there's like 30-40 minutes of filler in the middle where they just kind of have to have a lot of talking because they ran out of money, and then it's got like a big action climax.
It's a wonderful excuse.
And he's trying,
it's an homage to shitty movies.
No,
I mean, it was a bad decision.
You can tell he's doing that, but what I was going to say is it doesn't make it less frustrating to watch.
No, it's like telling a joke that you had to be there to understand. understand. Like,
Right.
I get that you're doing that. It's
Right.
just that you and
have no
maybe
reference for that.
500 other people in the country have enough of a knowledge and appreciation for this genre to understand the joke or
Right.
the bit or whatever. So it's lost on.
Yeah, because there are a lot of movies, like bad sort of Z-grade homemade 70s grindhouse movies do that, where like they're introduce a group, they all get massacred, and then you've got like this long, like, well, we got to meet the new group, and then they're driving to this motel or
It's
whatever.
like when I drop deep cut Dinobot jokes around you guys. It's basically
exactly like that. Yes.
It doesn't devalue those jokes. We just don't understand.
We
them.
don't get
Kind
it.
of
No.
devalue.
His last movie, Once Upon a
Iridium
Time,
Blow.
is I think my favorite one, or at least the one where I'm like the most excited and promised for the future of his career, which makes it such a weird and sad decision that he's ending, because I feel like he's finally creating his own characters instead of having them be like these pastiches of other movie heroes that he's kind of cobbled together.
Yeah.
Like he's doing character-based stuff plus all the Tarantino action and stuff that you like. So
I just hate that he's got so much freedom now. Like only a few people could have made Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like with those level of movie stars, and it's a rambling, like kind of not plot heavy 3-hour original idea, and it's it'd be a shame to lose him just because how many people are even doing work like that right now? Like only a handful.
yeah. Keep working for our enjoyment.
Yeah.
Anyways,
damn it.
let's
Don't
watch
enjoy your life.
the honest trailer for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Well, for every and
Whatever. No,
all
you know, and
all
the
other
others.
movies.
Yeah.
8 to 9 other movies.
Deep from the heart of a grindhouse theater, one filmmaker will rise from video store clerk to the guy video store clerks worship and answer the question, what would the love child of the 90s, the 70s, comic books, kung fu movies, and cocaine look like? This.
Why the need for so much gruesome, graphic violence? Why not let us imagine
Because
a little
it's so
of it?
much fun, Jan. Get it?
Every Quentin Tarantino movie.
Robert Holtby. We'll talk about Robert.
Enter a world of classic cinema and attention deficit disorder, where the smoke is heavy, the voices are gravelly.
Pretty sneaky. What's that? My life story.
My way or the highway.
But I always respected you.
It's Bruce Dern, right?
Yeah.
And everyone
Pause.
is always
pitch down.
Is there a more grizzled actor? Who's more grizzled?
Currently working?
Currently.
Yeah.
Werner Herzog?
I think he plays grizzled the best. But if you've ever seen an interview with him, he's actually a very ungrizzled person.
Yeah.
In real life. But I think he plays grizzled.
I mean, Clint
better than
Eastwood,
anyone.
genuinely grizzled.
Clint Eastwood is the most grizzled person.
The winner from that SNL sketch, Robert Duvall, still with us, still quite grizzled.
Yeah.
So may still be your champion.
He did win that sketch with the answer, I once drove a team of horses up Bear Mountain. Yes, that is the correct answer. Oh, good stuff.
I was looking for wistful. That was wistful.
That was wistful. Sorry, everybody.
Obscure Norm Macdonald sketches for 500, Alex.
Yep. All right, keep going.
and everyone is always hungry.
I'm hungry.
I didn't notice this until you pointed it out, Dan. A lot of food.
Lots of food.
Big plates of blueberry pancakes.
Tamales.
Pepperoni pizza 4つ。そういううちに置いてないんですよ。
Bacon tastes good.
Now pause. Do you think this is because he writes his screenplays? I don't know if he still does. He probably has a home now at TOI Toy, the Thai restaurant on Sunset Boulevard. It's open like 24 hours.
Maybe.
He's
I
just
think he just
snacking.
likes to write. He likes to write about what people talk about, and generally, 80% of what most people talk about is food.
That's what I was going to say. I think he's so much about defining characters by what they like and what they enjoy and their routines, and I think that's why you get into a lot of like, what are they
Discourses
eating,
on
and coffee
lunch.
and tacos, and
Yeah, realism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how often have you had a life-altering, intense, Oscar-worthy conversation over diner food? Like, that's why I like that it's just like, bacon's tasty. And like, that's the dialogue, because that's what you would be saying. I appreciate it. Pork chops taste good.
One minute you're eating a Denver omelet, and the next minute someone's sticking a gun in your face.
Yeah. All right, keep going.
置いてないんですよ。
Bacon tastes good. Pork chops taste good.
Gives a tasty burger.
The most appetizing, by the way, of Tarantino's foods. I would eat that strudel. Anytime.
Experience all three phases of QT's career. The critically acclaimed crime trilogy, the I'm just gonna make 70s movies phase, the really long one.
As funny as this may or may not be, we did say 3 phases, and we
Well, that's not a phase. That's just a long one. We should have distinguished. We should have said the 3 phases and the really long one. Sorry if you were.
And the revisionist history
We wanted to
revenge
go home.
flicks. And I hope you liked them all, because he's only 1 movie away from retirement. Oh crap, really? That can't be right. Let's see. Count the Kill Bills as 1 movie. Death Proof is too short to count for a full one. Jackie Brown is an adaptation, so let's just axe that one too. There we go. He's only 4 movies away from retirement.
So pause.
Or 3. I don't know. Our math is off.
Do we think
We wanted to go home.
do we think he's really going to retire after 1 more movie?
I respect the confidence to know that you're going to be such an important director that you can make this a big deal.
Yeah. You can just make a time capsule of your films.
What film did he announce it was 10? After what film?
I feel like it was Django, maybe?
It was right around Django.
Okay.
And Hateful Eight was like, it's
Yeah.
going to be my 8th movie. I'm not going to do it now because the script's out.
Right.
And then he did it anyway.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was around Django time.
I feel like, yeah.
Okay, that's a little more of a sure thing where you're like, I can make this important. For some reason, I thought it was like after like Jackie Brown or something.
No.
Like I'm doing 10.
What's interesting is that was it Hateful Eight as well that he started as a novel or he started as a book or maybe it was a play or something like that.
I think he started as a play.
Yeah.
And then once upon a time he started as a book.
Yeah.
So he could just he could stop being a filmmaker
I
to
don't know.
just write or just
Here's
direct.
the-
He's
here's
written a bunch of
I
other
feel like
movies that he
it's
didn't
gonna-
direct.
He's
Yeah.
gonna retire after 1 more, but he's so obsessed with like Sergio Leone and all of these old school filmmakers that like were making movies into their 80s. I think he's gonna retire for 5 or 10 years, and then he's gonna come back as like an elder statesman.
Yeah.
And make
Yeah.
movies.
I think he's gonna carry on as a novelist, but it's all gonna be just in his voice.
Yeah.
And then the samurai walks into the room and he looks over there and there's like a bunch of ninjas and it's and this really cool retro song starts playing. And
Now listen.
Wait.
Right.
His toes, they're huge, right?
Now this dude right here, all right, man. Now, I don't know. I feel like he's gonna retire for a time, and then I feel like it's gonna be like one of these like sports retirements. Like wait 2 or 3 years, people get excited,
Play a little baseball.
Yeah, right. Build up a little momentum.
some TV.
Try MMA.
Make another CSI.
Right, and then he'll come back, or maybe he'll like just shift like Herzog, start doing documentaries or something.
Do a documentary. Wow.
Quentin
Why
did.
not? Like if like those Scorsese does documentaries where like My Voyage to Italy, and it's like Italian film through the lens.
Well, we were talking
of
about
Scorsese.
the almost tragedy that like if things had gone the other way, there's a sliding doors situation where he just fronts like a terrible rockabilly band instead of making movies.
Yeah.
Like QT and the Hepcats is like playing in a Johnny Rockets. Maybe he'll do that.
Wow, that's the darkest.
Wow.
That's what happens.
Oh, Rudy can fail.
That's the Watchmen universe. That's what happened.
Oh, all right.
That's that one too. There we go. He's only 4 movies away from retirement. Phew. Meet a Tarantino main character. They're probably involved in a life of crime, and they're definitely up to date on whatever dated pop culture references are rolling around in his head.
You know, like Kane in Kung Fu.
Silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids.
Like a virgin.
Valley of the Dolls.
You remember the Fantastic Four?
The Delphonics.
Charlie Brown.
The Bellboy with Jerry Lewis.
Mannix.
That's from
The Man from Uncle. Batman and Robin. Ping! Pow!
Do you know any of these shows that people I'm talking about?
When they suffer a horrible injustice, they'll put on a cool outfit, drive around talking,
You know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese in Paris?
drive around listening to music, and drive around talking while listening to music.
That's most of Death Proof.
Want me to your while driving?
Yeah, and once upon a time.
As they go undercover
We'll be putting on an act.
and find themselves in a high-stakes conversation where someone is not who they say they are.
One of them fellas is not what he says.
Sie sind so deutsch wie dieser Scotch.
Until the whole thing turns into one big standoff.
Larry, stop pointing that gun at my dad!
Die direkt auf ihre Hoden
And
gerichtet
then a huge one in True Romance that he just wrote.
gerichtet, seit sie hier sitzen. Und jetzt sind wir zu dritt.
And
Pause
everything.
for a second.
Yes.
So he wrote True Romance and Dusk Till Dawn.
Right? And Natural Born Killers.
Natural Born Killers. And then doesn't he have like, or is that Joss Whedon for like with Speed, where it's like, oh, QT did like a punch up on all these movies that you've never heard of?
Crimson Tide,
right? Yeah.
And there's that one scene where they all talk about Silver Surfer for no good reason. And you're like, I don't know, but I bet Tarantino did this one.
Guess this. Think about obscure Silver Surfer comic books.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't know that he wrote that scene. I think so, but I definitely know he did.
Because what you just said just sounded like a Patton Oswalt joke.
No, he did. He did pass on Crimson Tide, and there is a scene where Denzel Washington, out of context, uses Silver Surfer as an elaborate metaphor.
Yes. It's got to be him.
Right.
It's got to be Quentin.
That's got to be.
Like with Joss Whedon in Speed, or he starts talking about Gigantor out of nowhere.
Right. Yeah.
So I wonder if there's other movies out there like that.
Probably.
Uncredited.
Did a pass?
Tarantino pop culture.
Do you think QT's done passes on Joss's stuff, and that's why all of his heroines have bare feet? Most of them do. Serenity Girl always walking around bare
that's
feet.
That's true. Yeah, River.
Buffy, not a lot of shoes.
Look, if you want to get ahead in Hollywood, you got to take off your socks.
Hey, Josh,
you want to get ahead, you got to give a feet.
Josh, I dig your stuff, okay? But here's what I'm saying. We'll take it to the next level. Have him take the shoes off, man.
Okay.
Take the shoes off, man.
We open on an ankle and pan down.
But it's from the 70s.
Okay, let's go. Let's keep going.
You want to make box office? I can choose the 10 little digits.
Than an Addams Family school play.
Strikingly similar.
Yes.
Revel in this one-of-a-kind filmmaker's brilliant dialogue.
English, mother. Do you speak it?
Sharply drawn characters. Timeless soundtracks, in that the songs aren't from the same era as the movie.
It's a little jarring.
And depending on how you feel about him, either his incredible talent for remixing cinematic history, or incredible audacity to jack the coolest shots from old movies for himself. It's not stealing if you haven't seen it. Just ask Lucas, or PTA, or Guy Ritchie, or all of them.
So pause.
It's a great read from John.
Yeah, that's a charge levied against him, and I think he is. I don't know. He maybe does less to mask it than the other directors,
Reservoir Dogs,
or he does it so often.
In particular, is because I think it's his first movie. He leaned maybe even heavier on City on Fire than than Homage, but it also had his dialogue.
He kind of got branded at. I mean, that was sort of. Ugh, sorry. Let me restart this sentence by not saying it was someone's brand. Jesus.
His content is really.
I just want to keep making content.
Here's the thing about Quentin Tarantino, the influencer. Yeah. But his thing was he was the fan, and so I think automatically people just start looking for it. Like, oh, he's the video clerk nerd started remaking his favorite movies.
There's just also the incorrect idea. Like, there's a cliche out there, a trope that the hard part of creating something like these movies is the idea, or coming up with the idea of the shot or the idea for the scene. Like, oh, you just stole that idea from another movie. That's the easy part. And turning those ideas and homages into something like Reservoir Dogs or Pulp Fiction that people remember and love as their own thing, that's very difficult. So it's like, it doesn't matter that he's kind of riffing on these old ideas. That's anybody could do that. They can't turn it into Jackie Brown.
He's stealing from things more interesting than most movies are stealing from.
True.
Which is just kind of bland reverse shot.
But I think he's now hit the perfect hybrid. I think that he is still showing the influence of these movies that he loves, but they're now, again, I think post-Death Proof, wholly original as far as his voice, his auteurism. You know, he may still be referencing, but I feel like it's a lot more of his eye and a lot less of his eye reflected through the eyes of other filmmakers. Like, that's what I think his evolution has been. And you see that with a lot of filmmakers.
I think also, if you look at Once Upon a Time, doing a lot of these homages and references has made him a virtuoso at copying any other style. I mean, he can recreate a TV Western, an Italian police film, and they're all note perfect.
He's the taskmaster of
he knows exactly how to like frame everything to like evoke all these different eras and styles in film.
My favorite thing about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I don't know how many other people caught up to, but it's the this thing of just having that eye is even that opening interview between Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt and the other and the interviewer.
Yes.
It's not just that it's done in the style of an old 1960s, 50s TV interview. It's that he replicates the way that they were shot, which was there was a camera that was pointed, and they did all of the interview with Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio's characters, and then they would turn the camera back onto the interviewer and shoot him asking the questions individually, and then they would edit it together. And he did that, so he replicated it. He replicated it because you could tell that he was shooting it like it was shot as two different pieces of film. The way he directed the actor to sort of ask the questions, but in an open-minded way. The eye lines were never quite there. The pauses, like he has got an eye now to like. Even when he's replicating something, he knows how to fold that into such an interesting way.
Do it in service of a story.
Exactly.
Wow. I wish he started making movies now instead of 10 years ago or 10 movies ago.
Yeah, but if you came out with Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction today, people we only have the world we have today and the movies we have today because that happened in the 90s. Like
if Pulp Fiction came out today, that kitchen scene would have ended his career.
Real quick. Immediately canceled. But I mean, even aside from the cultural mores, I just mean like, who knows what kinds of movies we'd even be going to see today without Tarantino 20 years
Probably the Big Hit Part 8. The eighth movie in the Big Hit franchise.
I mean, I don't know.
Mark Wahlberg's Big Hit-averse.
I guess they just keep making 80s movies.
We'd still be watching disaster movies.
Jackie Brown would have been a great Hulu Plus original.
Yep. Yeah. All right, keep going.
So salute a living legend who made some of the best films of a generation, while influencing some of the worst films of a generation.
Pause. Go back to that grid because we got a lot of defenders for Smokin' Aces.
It's not even the best movie on that grid, if you ask me.
Fine, and I'm just really glad we made Dan. You pushed us in this direction.
There was two, yeah.
And I was gonna push back.
We took off Go, and we took off what was the other one?
Boondock Saints,
aka Boondock Taints, aka a terrible movie that's not saved by an insane Willem Dafoe performance. But I know we all had the poster on our dorm in college, so
I did not. I was in that era when a lot of people did, but not me.
Regardless of our own opinions, I knew that if we put Boondock Saints in that grid, we would be there would be a Boondock comment section. I was just like, we don't want that. We don't want that. It's just all of the comments are gonna be Boondock Saints, and all of our work's gonna be wasted. So just get rid of Boondock Saints.
I even saw some people going to bat for reindeer games. So y'all's opinions.
Everyone's least favorite movie is someone else's favorite.
Yeah. Look, I will admit, there was a blonde highlights Jinko jeans wearing version of me that was very angry at the idea of Go being included in this list. But Smokin' Aces, that surprised me.
Yeah, I
would not. I would have picked Way of the Gun.
Right. That's exactly what I was going to say.
What people were going to come in and really defending, but not Smokin' Aces. I might have ranked last. So there you go. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I didn't even know people liked it. Honestly, like I didn't anticipate any pushback on Smokin' Aces.
Apparently they. Big Aceverse.
You would think anything with a primary, like a featured central role for Jeremy Piven, we'd be over by now. Wouldn't you guys have thought that?
Welcome back to PCU, baby.
All right, never mind.
Pivissance.
Hard knocks.
Let's keep going.
Pivissance.
The generation.
Hard
But he gave women and black people amazing badass characters to cheer for. And he also gave a bunch of white guys an N-word pass.
So pause. It is like pathological the amount of N-words he has in his movies.
Well, no, Django. At least with Django
and Hateful Eight,
you can make some justification.
This is probably not a conversation the four of us should have.
when it's okay to say,
but when it even upsets us, then you know you've gone too far.
Yeah, like
every other case, even I am just like, oh,
right. Like those are the only two where there's any historical context to it. You could still do it less if you wanted to, but but yeah, he has no excuse for like.
And
Pulp
the people
Fiction.
coming out of the woodwork to be like, I and my friends say it all the time. Reconsider.
Yeah.
Good. There you go. Keep going.
But he matured and one of the best filmmakers in Hollywood history. But it's thanks to the tireless work of one of the worst people in Hollywood history. But one thing's always been clear, uncontroversial, and unanimous about Quentin Tarantino. This man loves a good foot.
right, sing along if you know the words. Feed, 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 feed. 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 Feed, 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 feed.
Don't be telling
This
me.
little spoken word interlude is fantastic.
Yes.
Randy, I think,
Inspired.
came up with that.
I'd like to give you a foot
Kevin came up with that?
massage.
Okay, good job, Kevin.
Shit, got my technique down and everything. I don't be tickling or nothing.
Wiggle your big toe.
Would you give a guy a foot massage?
Hey, don't go for it. Smoker for it.
Kevin is like, do we need the subtitles? Yes, I think we do.
We want people to sing along.
All right, feet. Oh man, look at those toes.
Yeah, we didn't know if we'd have enough time.
Some shoes.
That's Matt Citrone's voice.
Feet, go! Ouch. It's like a love-hate thing with feet.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
No, it's all
Probably
love. It's
starring
just
Samuel L. Jackson, Michael Madsen, Christoph Waltz when he wants an Oscar, movie stars, rising stars, fading stars, chapters, trunk shots, red apple cigarettes,
Well, that's the way a cigarette should taste.
spittin',
I never noticed this.
So much spit.
a lot of spitting.
being all gross, torture,
I'ma get medieval on your ass with a pair of pliers and a blowtorch. One word of sass, they cut out your tongue.
But imagine the cruelty their brothers endured at our hands.
extreme close-ups,
It's your risk.
a movie within the movie, Austin Powers, and himself.
Yeah, but I have a foot fetish, so it kind of even itself out.
It's a student film.
Every
It was all there.
Quentin Tarantino movie.
And pause.
So pause. Robert
Props to
Holtby.
Robert Holtby for
Yeah.
Here's what happens
Amazing.
when you do one of these things, and this repeats itself every time. We'll say, like, he'll be like, what would you like to do? And we're like, you know what, maybe get like a vibe, like maybe Pulp Fiction, like just, give us the Tarantino vibe, and that would be wonderful. And then you'll get 9 different treatments, as we did. He did in every Quentin Tarantino movie in the style of every single Quentin Tarantino movie individually, which is why we wanted to cycle through all of them as much as we could and share them, because he's amazing, and that's just how.
But not just that, because you'll be like, how about just like a general vibe? And he'll be like, I could do all of them. And you're like, no, don't do that.
That's
And
a lot of work,
I could. I won't sleep for 2 weeks. But
No, Robert, don't do
I'd
that.
love to
Just
do it. And
do-
we're like,
just
please,
do
no.
one, yeah.
And then all of a sudden we have all.
I'll do all of them. Like, no, Robert, no.
They're already done. They're on your desk.
Just find a font that kind of looks.
That's what I used to do. I used to do.
Arial looks solid.
It used to be the last thing I did 30 minutes before we exported it.
Yeah.
It was the most half-assed thing in
I
the
think
world.
for Jumanji, the '90s one, he like recreated the entire board
did.
out of like individual particles.
Yes.
He did, because that was one of the first ones that I worked on, and I was like, does he do stuff like this every time?
Pretty much,
Crazy.
yeah. And
And then he does.
It's
Yeah,
like,
he
I'll
does.
miss my nephew's christening, but I'll get it done. And you're like, no, go to the christening. Robert, we don't deserve you.
Thank you, Robert Holtby.
He's gonna come like visit us like a Jacob Marley ghost. I should have been kindness, or it should have been my business. Working on your titles.
We give him an out every week. Oh, well,
You don't have to care.
Plus, he has to do like 10 ones in a few weeks when we do the Oscars. So, sorry, Robert.
Yeah.
No way around that.
That
one.
The
christening's
White
gonna
House
suck
is
anyway.
very, it's just Times New Roman. You know, no problem. Knock it
He'd
out.
better hope
Super
that it gets
easy.
nominated for Best Picture then.
yeah. All right. Do we have any deleted scenes?
Is there a tag?
I
Are
don't
we
know if
done?
we do.
Oh,
No.
is there a tag? Oh,
stopped
there's
the
still.
title.
We're not even done with the.
Quentin
Oh,
Tarantino
that's right. Look at that.
movie. Did you know that Quentin Tarantino also directed an episode of ER? It's the one where he and Dr. Ross go to Mexico and kill a bunch of vampires.
Yeah.
All right, deleted scenes. What do we got?
I don't think we did. Do we have any?
No?
Nothing.
No,
Oh, well.
we used it all.
All right, I'll just reenact the things that we cut. We had a joke about him repeating himself. That it was a little formulaic. That everyone has the same kind of overarching structure.
Did we record that, or was that just in our?
We recorded that.
Did we?
Yeah.
Very early on, I had them cut some
it was in
stuff
script.
out.
Oh, I missed the first cut of this. That's what it was.
Yeah, well, you'll just have to take my word for it. Let's do some fan questions. Ushio01 writes, my favorite Ushio, Scorsese, Tarantino, Fincher, Nolan. What other living film directors do you consider to be highly consistent throughout their whole careers? Spielberg and Eastwood are good, but have enough stinkers for me not to consider them consistently great. Anyone you'd add in there?
I mean, the Coen brothers to me are some of the most consistent. Like, there's a few of their movies I'm not crazy about, but almost always they're
consistent.
amazing.
Yeah, I would add them in there.
It gets challenging too as body of work increases, because it's like, sure, Spielberg's made some stinkers. Spielberg's also made a lot more movies than Fincher. You know, it's sort of
right.
it's tough.
No, I mean, yeah, you're
challenging,
looking at like it's like a batting average. Like out of their total times at plate, how many times are they scoring?
Scorsese. Scorsese, I think, is remarkably. You have New York. That's what everyone always says, though. You're like, Scorsese, like, yeah, well, what about New York? Like, yeah, what about the 14 other ones I can name that aren't New York? I think he's remarkably consistent.
Again, I mean, I think, like, Scorsese, there are some, like, misses that aren't as good as, like, the best Scorsese's.
Right.
But even his misses are interesting. Like, Bringing Out the Dead, definitely not top-tier Scorsese, but, like, it's an interesting movie. I don't hate it.
Catherine Bigelow?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other people with, like, a long enough filmography.
Sure.
Catherine Bigelow's got it. Well, you got Key 19.
I'm not a huge Zero Dark 30 guy.
You know who's
myself.
at least 3 for 4? Is Ryan Johnson.
Okay.
Brick, Brothers Bloom.
Hot take. Looper.
Oh, sorry. 3 for 5. Yeah. At least.
Though it's icky and I find it not as fun or funny to watch anymore. Woody Allen, very consistent.
I don't know.
A lot of consistency. He's made the same movie.
He makes a movie every year.
As a younger man, like if we had this conversation in like the deconstructing Harry era, I'd be like, yeah, how is he doing it? They're all still great. Since then, post small time crooks, I feel like we really kind of fell off a creative scene.
Stanley Kubrick, I would say, never made a bad.
He's not
movie.
alive.
What does it say? Alive?
It said living.
Yeah. Sorry.
That narrows it considerably.
Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah. He's doing great so far. Yeah. Got very few misses.
All right, well, there you go. Moving on, Justin Klowater writes, love the Honest Trailer. Do you think he'll actually only stick to 10 movies? We covered that. Moving on. Led Zepp's X. Is Tarantino's Star Trek still a thing?
Apparently no.
Not really?
I think they're saying it's off.
Which is a shame. Because that would be really fun to just. I know, Dan, you have complicated feelings.
No, I'd
about
be
it.
interested in it.
Yeah, as a curiosity.
It's a curiosity.
At least to read the script. Like, what would he have done with a Star Trek movie?
Read the script.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I think
pictures of Uhura with no shoes on.
Right. I guess it's like a tone thing that people are like, well, it's just tonally so different from what he normally does. But he can, like, Jackie Brown has a lot of his, like, it's got Tarantino flavor, but he can do something that's like a tonal departure.
Yeah, and as someone that's obsessed with the 70s, like, I'm sure he was watching Star Trek every day.
I think it's underestimating him to say that he couldn't take all of his like weird, quirky cuteness and sort of put it to one side and make something it's of that franchise that it comes from. I think he could probably do it.
Captain, initial scans show an Earth-like planet only. It appears that they've never invented shoes.
N-word, what? Yeah.
I mean, it is a post-racist society, so he can say it as much as he wants.
That's right.
It's true.
That's his dream. Well, there you go. That's all the questions. You guys had a lot of other Smokin' Aces stuff that we already talked about. You Smokin' Aces.
It's not good. It's not a good movie.
A lot of crying.
A lot of crying?
Jeremy Piven crying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's a mess.
In that movie.
It's a mess.
It stinks.
It stinks. So glad we got that one for it.
It stinks.
We're going to be back next week. We're back. We're back from vacation. We ain't going nowhere. We will be back next week with another multi-film exploration. And I don't know what you're going to do. Don't know what you're going to do.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do next week? You'll find out. See you next week on Australian Commentaries. Thanks for watching.